Okay, so when we talk about georeferencing in GIS, is a process of aligning a spatial data such as raster image or scan image to a specific coordinate system so that it can accurately overlay and analyze with other geographic data. So the process is assigning the real world coordinate to enable it to be used, query or rest of them. So generally, like I said, it's just for you to align adding the coordinate information to a digital image so that it can be accurately displayed. So what I mean is that if you go to internet and then let me just go here and then Google uh, geological map of Rwanda, for example, then you will see something that looks like this. And then when you go to the image, you see a lot of map that shows you like this. And then you tend to now look for the data like this, and you're not able to find the data. You can see there is no place to get this kind of geological map as you can see it here. But if you look close, you see that these maps have where it is written, the way it is drawn. So, and you needed to reproduce this map like this one, and you don't have a way to reproduce. You can see the geological map of Rwanda, and you needed to reproduce them, but you don't have access on where you are going to reproduce them. So on that way, georeferencing helps you in getting that stuff. Like you can see this, maybe there's no way to reproduce it, but you can see a map clearly. So if you zoom close, you can see all this shape that goes like this, and you can see the name here. That means you can adequately reproduce them to do what you need to do. So then georeferencing comes in. So how do we start with georeferencing? First and foremost, you need to know which coordinate system is it existing. Like this one, and there is no coordinate system. Like I can't see something well here, but I think this is in 1 degree, another degree, which is showing us in degree, minutes and seconds. That is WGS. Then this one also is a coordinate system, but you can see here the intersection is just this point and this point. So it only have 1 and 2 4 points to georeference, but it is not overlapping. So it will be hard for us to actually georeference it. So we're going to use two methods. The first method is with coordinates, and on that note, to make it the way I used to say, I used to go here and save as, and I'm going to save it as, and when I save it as, I should be able to save it as a new file. So in this way, I'm going to say georeferencing. So georeferencing is this one. So when I do georeferencing, so I should be able to save this one as a new layer. Now, if you return back to the map layer here, so you can see the last map we created. So to make it easy for me, I'm just going to remove this administrative boundary here because I've saved it as a new file. So I will right click on it and I'm going to remove this particular one. Now, but what I'm going to do is that I'm going to still use this data we have now, the one I exported as PDF, as PNG. You can see I've removed this completely. It is out. So now I'm going to add a data, and I want to assume that the data I'm going to add, if you go here, you see that this is the map we exported last time. So you return back here. I'm going to go to map here. So let me open up map, and you can see that this is the last map we produced here. So I'm going to add it. Now, assuming I get this thing as an imagery, and then I try to add it up, the first thing you will notice is that it is not going to be spatially referenced because there is no coordinate system attached to it. So in that way, I need to have a coordinate system that is attached to it. So if you look here, you see now that the imagery says unknown coordinate system, held map data is missing, coordinates system, click here to view more info. Now you see now that here, if you zoom close, you see now that this is just an imagery. You can see here, you can see how big it is. It's just an imagery, but luckily we have a coordinate aligning to it. You can see the imagery just like an imagery. Now if you zoom it against world map, you can see this is a world map here, very small, and then it is bigger than the world map, meaning that it does not have a coordinate reference. Now for this, if you go right click here and go to the properties, you should be able to see the coordinate system here. Now by default it is in WGS84, but this particular spatial is unknown coordinate, but this one now is in WGS84, as you can see. Then this one now does not have a spatial reference coordinate. So we are going to make this map fit in perfectly to it. Now on this, we're going to start with the first method. Now I'm not going to use the base map, I'm just going to use the coordinate system here to realign it. Now in this way, you have this particular raster here. Then what you need to do is you go here, under here, when you have this particular raster, then if you want to go and do georeferencing, then you need to go to this imagery. You can see imagery here. The next thing is go to georeferencing. Now, the reason is that I want to reproduce this map, but I don't have the data. For example, I want to reproduce it. How do I get it done? So any paper, you can just go to internet and download this one, because I'm going to use this one to do another one, but I just want you to see this first using a coordinate system. Now on this, there is a coordinate. This is the reason why we say have a coordinate add to it. So if you see here, you can see a coordinate here and this one. So you can see the coordinate here. And then you can use this to georeference it. So to this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagery tab here and click on georeferencing, and this is going to come out. So when this come out, it is expecting me now to start the georeferencing. I click on georeferencing and this georeferencing tab open. So you can see here, fit to display, move, flip, scale, and rest of them. If you want to fit to display, assuming that I'm in Rwanda here, for example, if I want to fit it to Africa, I can click fit to display. What happens? It is going to realign this imagery, as you see here, back to the size. So you can see here, it have realigned it to the size. Now, if I zoom close to Nigeria here and click on fit to display, what happens is going to realign this imagery to fit to this particular display. So you can see it's returned back here. But where I am interested in making this is somewhere here around here in Rwanda. So if I still click to fit to display, it is going to bring it to fit to display here for me. So you can see here, it's going to fit it to display. So it's going to come here. So it's moving. So you can see it coming here. But now, nevertheless, I cannot find appropriately where it is, but I want to use the coordinate here to make it done. So what I need to do is, there is a cross line here which I know the coordinate. You can see here and here, the eastern and northern, or the longitude and latitude is what I can have here. So this particular one has been fitting here for me. So if you zoom close, you see now that this is the coordinate here, 2920 and 122 south. So what do I need to do? What I need to do now in this case is that I'm going to use the known coordinate where I know to be able to make this georeferencing. So you can see the intersecting point here. You can also see the intersecting point here. So if you zoom down, you can see the different intersecting point, so which you can use to do the georeferencing. So I'm going to start maybe with here. You can see here I have 31, 20, and I have 1 and south here. So what I need to do is to click on here. You have import, add a control point. So I'm going to add a control point here and I click on it. So zoom to this place that you have intersection here. So where you have the coordinate, you can see this 1 and 2. So what do I need to do? Make sure that this thing is aligning on the cross here. You can see the intersection here. Then I'm going to click once on it. Now, because I have the coordinate, I will right click. And I right click now. So you can see now this is coming here. You can see it now. You see this is coming with 3 point something, but I need it to show in degree and seconds. If it is in decimal degree, I can go ahead, but if it is in coordinate system, I'm going to click on this. So you can see now, clicking on this, what happens? I see here the eastern part E. You can see it here because it's in the eastern part here. I have 31, so I'm going to start here and say 31. The degree is 20, and I'm going to say 20. The seconds is 0, so I'm going to add it 0. Now it's in the eastern, correct. Now this is in the south. Change this one to south here, the southern hemisphere. Then I have 1 here, so I'm going to start with 1, and then I have 20 here. I'm going to do 20 here, and then I have 0, 0 here. I'm going to put 0, 0 here. So once this is done and it is accurate, look at the point I click here, and I'm going to click what? OK. Now what happens is that it will pin. It will now realign this part. You see the way it realign it, so it now move it back to that particular location. Now on this one, you can see here that there is a join here, which I have also the coordinate. You can see 28 here. It is taking time to load anyway because of the size of it, but you can see this point as well. Now I can also come here and click on this intersection and right click and still change to degree, minutes and seconds here. Now this is 25. Longitude, which is the eastern here, is 28, so I need to edit this and put it 28, and then this is 40. I also need to put it 40. Then this is 0, 0. I need to put it 0, 0. Then in the south here is already in the south. I have 1 degree 20. You see the way it is aligning closely. You can see here this is 20. So what I need to do is to edit it and make it close to 20 as it is. And this is 0 0. I put it 0 0. And once I am done south, this is correct, and I'll click OK. Now what happens is it's also going to realign. You see the way it disappeared. Now I'm going to zoom out a bit, so you can see now it's returning to what? Rwanda. Now the more points you put, the more accuracy you are going to have. So if you look here, you see now that if you uncheck this, you see now that it is back to Rwanda. So you can see here, the more point you put, the more accurate it is. I put 1 point, second point, so I'm going to put the third point here, which is this one. So I'm going to zoom close to the same point again as well, and you can see here this is the coordinate here for 20 and 40. So I'm going to try as much as I can to make sure that I'm at the intersection. And then when I'm at the intersection like this, I'll click. There's left click, and I will right click here. When I right click, so you can see here I can change it to decimal degree again. So now if you look at the coordinate on this particular you see now it is closely aligning perfectly. Look at 28, which is eastern correct, 40 correct, but I have 3 seconds here, so I have to edit it and put 0. Look at here 20, 39, so you see that it is very close. I have to also edit it. So the more point you have, the more accurate it becomes. So when I finish, I'll click OK, and that's going to realign, fitting in well. Then I'll go now to the other side of it, and then which probably I'm going to choose here as well, here as you can see. So because that's the same, almost the same place, I choose, put it on the cross here, and then right click on it and change it again to degree, minutes and seconds. So you see here, what do we have here? We have 31. Now look here, you see here 3120. So if you see the way when I right click on it and you click on it, you can see 3119, very close to 3120. So what do I need to do? Edit it and put 20, edit it and put 0 0. Then go to this one, 20 40 39 48, very close. So I'm going to put here 40, and this one 0 0. So this is the reason why we say put grid coordinate, because this is a way you can reproduce this. So I'm click OK. So if you look here, you see now that this map has perfectly fitted in Rwanda. How do I check that? The first way I can check that is, now when you click on save, that automatically save this map for you, and it's geographically referenced. Now how do I know about this? Now if you look at the base map, we have ocean base, and I can return back to map and then change the base map. Let's use another base map that we can see Rwanda boundary. So what option can I use? So the fastest one I can go in here is, let me use OpenStreetMap. So I'm going to use OpenStreetMap base map so that you can see what I am trying to show you now. So if I use OpenStreetMap base map, and let's compare it to Rwanda shapefile. Now if you turn off this, you can see now that it is perfectly aligning to Rwanda shapefile. How do I also check it again? If you return here to where you have maps here, return to imagery here. So you can see here the georeferencing here, because if I click on this now, the georeferencing tools will be reactivated. So you can see the georeferencing tools here. Now I'm going to click here, which is click on map, raster layer. Then you can see this raster layer here. I can change the transparency because I want to check whether is it boundary aligning perfectly. Transparency, I can open it up here and I can drag across. So if I drag across it, look, you can see, look at the shapefile. You can see that the way it is matching with Rwanda. So if I drag it to the right, you can see here, you see perfectly how it's aligning. Look at the shapefile, it is perfectly aligning with the shape of Rwanda. So you can see it here. This is the first way you can do it. The second way, you can click on swipe here, and then you can drag across. So if you drag across it, you can see here, look at the shape. You see the way it is aligning perfectly with the shape of Rwanda. Why? Because I was able to do georeferencing and then bring it here to perfectly align with the shape of Rwanda. Now, another way I can click is to click on flicker, and you can see the way it is showing me, like peeping out, in, out, in, out, in. So you see this way, I should be able to see whether it is matching well. Now, this is the first way of doing georeferencing. And once this is done, you can go ahead and recreate this. Now, if you return to georeferencing, you can save it as new. Meaning saving it as new is put the raster into new one. Then, but if you save it, automatically it becomes saved. So next time if you bring in this raster into here, you should be able to have this particular raster georeference automatically over Rwanda. Now, if you open up a control table here, so you can see here the georeferencing. This is the coordinate you add, the source, the xy, this is the map. So the map x is the coordinate you are using now, what it is. Now this is the residual y, residual x, and this is the residual. So this is how far it is from becoming perfect. So you can see this table here. Now in this table you can also change the order, which is what how the transformation is. Look, if you look here, you see now that when I change it to zero order polynomial, you can see what happens here. What happens? It scatters up a bit, so you can see the display of it. But when I put it on the one, it is similarity, and you see this is what it looks like in similarity. So if you zoom close, you can see the way it tilts it on the similarity. So this is what it looks like on the similarity. So it's still loading, but you will see this is what it looks on the similarity. And if you go here to where we are seeing the places where we are trying to see how it looks, so if you uncheck, you see now that similarity is also looking okay. But what we are actually using is first order polynomial, and the first order polynomial is the one which is what I mentioned here. The first order polynomial is the one that perfectly match. They are different order adjust, so if you put adjust, it is going to change. You can see the residual and the rest of them are not the same thing. This is projective, and if you look at it, you see now that it is 0 0 0, and you can see the coordinate here, meaning that when it comes to projective, it perfectly align. So this, with this now, you can recreate the imagery that you need to do. So I can close up the table, but as you can see, if I swap across, you see now that the shape match perfectly with shape of Rwanda. So with this, I can recreate any map of choice that I want to recreate. So you can see here with OpenStreetMap Basemaps, you can see now that it matched perfectly with the shape of Rwanda. So you see it here. So I can re-digitize this one, and then I'm perfectly working. So if I click on save, it will save it. If you go to the location where this particular file are being saved, one thing you will notice is that it will create a new file for you. So quickly, let me go to the location, and then if you return here, let's go to the location where I save it. Now if I go here and comes to map here, you see now that here, this is the file we are using here. You see now it have created a new layer for us because we added it in ArcGIS. So next time we bring in this layer, it's going to match perfectly. So this is the first way you can work on it using coordinate. So on this note, what I did not do, what is remaining here is just for me to save, because I don't want to save it, I can discard it. So on this, I'm going to remove this one. So I'm going to remove it here because I don't need it. Now another method is using this way, which is using the boundary. Now like I said, if you go to different map and you want to create a map, you can see this one. There are several maps here, and then but you don't know how to recreate them. Maybe it is not what you needed the map, but it is not showing. So you can look at this map here. So the map is what you see from somewhere on the internet, but somebody have created it and you needed to recreate that same map. So like this one now, the coordinate system is there, but it is not clear, but you can see other information on it very clear, as you can see here. So you can see and you want to recreate such kind of map. So what do you need to do? Then like this one, for example, if I want to recreate this, I can recreate them using this method I'm trying to talk about. Let's use this now. So I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to save this image as. Now when I click on save this is what I see on internet. No, this is not going to work. So let's look for another one. Let's say this one, for example. I want to recreate this one. So let me know whether I can save it as, and it agree as PNG. So let's click as. Okay, you can see JPEG here. So let's return back to this normal place. So let me just put a new folder here and say georeference, georef. So now in this, I'm going to save it here. To make it faster, I'll just copy this directory, go to here and then paste it, go in here, and then Rwanda map. So I'm going to save it here. So you can see how it have already been saved. So now I want to recreate this map here. I'm going to import the map here, which is clicking here, and I'll paste the directory, which is where I saved the map. So you can see the Rwanda map here, and I'm going to click OK to add it. Now this is the first way. You can see now it says it does not have a spatial reference, so I can go ahead and click yes, calculate it. So it's going to calculate. So what happens here, you see now that they have said here unknown coordinate system, the data is missing, or sort of things like that. Now if you look here, you see now that this is the map of the world, and look at the map of Rwanda, which I just imported here. You can see now that it is not matching imperfectly. So how do I georeference this again? Because there is no coordinate system. Because you remember I used to tell you add a grid coordinate, because that grid coordinate can be used to recreate just like the way I showed in the first way of using coordinate system. Now, this one now does not have a coordinate system, but we can use the Rwanda shapefile to get it done. The first way we can get it done is maybe by using the base map. That's okay. But in this way, I want to change from using the base map to using a Rwanda shapefile. So I'm going to step back a bit here to import a Rwanda shapefile. So it is in the data, admin, and I'm just going to use admin 0, for example, to import it. So now if you look here, you see now this is the Rwanda shapefile. This is the Rwanda shapefile here. See how big it is. So I'm going to use this shapefile I have here that is very small somewhere here to fix it. Now remember what I told you earlier, that if I want to fix this thing, once I'm in georeferencing tools, I can zoom this one to that particular layer, so you can see the extent of Rwanda. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagery as well here, and then when I go to imagery, click on the Rwanda shapefile here, georeference will be activated. If you see it is here, it is not activated. But if I click here, it is now active. I can click on it. This is going to activate the georeference for me. Now I will say fit to display, then it will resize this image to this display. So you can see what happened. Look at the Rwanda shapefile here. You can see it here. Then if I zoom in again and still click fit to display, it will reduce the size, so you can see what is happening. Then if I click on keeping again fit to display, this is going to resize this one. But you know that there is no way, even if you come up here, you can also move it, and you see now that I can move this a bit up and down the same way it is. So you see the way I'm trying to move it, and then maybe it's loading slowly, but as you can see, if I drag it, see here, I can move it. But it will be hard for you to perfectly make this shapefile to match with the scale. So this is hard. You can see here, you can see the way it moves now, so it is not fitting in perfectly. So this is where georeferencing comes in. But now I don't have a coordinate on it, but I have a Rwanda shapefile. What do I need to do? If I say fit to zoom, this is okay. So what I need to do is to say here, add a control point. Now in that control point, the control point I need is where do I have the boundary of the same thing. So I look at the Rwanda shapefile. You can see the Rwanda shapefile here. Now in this Rwanda shapefile, I see this control point here. So you can see this point that is deep here. I can click on it. Now I am also going to return back to the Rwanda shapefile and click on the same point that I see here. Target point, click here. This is the 2 point that I know. So you can see what happens. I know this point is equal to this point. Then I can go up here a bit. Here you can see the Rwanda shapefile. To make it easy for me, I can decide to make it hollow. But you can see now that both of them are aligning. Now, where do I need to click again? You can see this shape here. This place is the same thing with this place. I can click on this image first here. From this point, align it with this point. This is the second method. Then you can see now that it scale up to that point again. Now remember what I said earlier, the more accurate you make, the more point you click, the more accurate you make it. Now I'm going to zoom in here again. I can see this point is equal to this one, so I click on the image here, and then I'm going to click on the tip of this. Then what happens again, it brings it closer. So if you look here, you can see here perfectly is matching. So for me to make it better, so I might probably need to go here and see if I say no color, no. So let me just go here and go to symbology and then change this to hollow. So if I open up here, because I don't want to see, so I'm going to make it hollow here, black, because I just want to make sure that it is transparent. So I can also change the color here to make it red to see its particular. Sorry, I missed it out. I'm bad. Symbology, and then here I want to make it hollow. You can see here, if I click on this, this is the hollow. As you can see, it's making it hollow, so that I should be able to start. Go to property here, then you can see the appearance color. This is the outline, which is going to be black, so I can change it to red, so I can have the red color. If I click apply, that gives me the red color. Or let's use blue, any other color that we can see very well. So you can see it here. So if you look here, you see now that this is perfectly matching with the shapefile we have. You can see here, this is perfectly matching with the shapefile we have. So automatically, this georeferencing is perfectly done for me, because if you look here, you see now that the shapefile here is perfectly matching with the outline. So this, you see, I got it from the internet, but I have the shapefile. But what if you don't have the shapefile? Because this is Rwanda perfectly shapefile, but you have some other features that are associated to it. Like I said, The reason why I put grid coordinate is for the first reason, the first method I showed you. Now we don't have grid coordinate. I am showing the second one. So if you look at this now, you can see now this has been perfectly placed for me to what it ought to be. So I can go ahead and go on with this map. So for me, I don't need to do any other thing because my georeferencing is perfectly aligned, and you can see the comparison here. You can also make the comparison like I showed you earlier, because this one is on top of each other. And if to say it is field, let me explain what I'm saying by field. Return here to gallery, and then let's say that the shape file is something that is filled up like this. Remember what I told you earlier. So you can also use the transparency, like um try to get across to it so that you can see what is under it. So anytime you can always do that to make sure that you are swiping to see whether is it matching with what it is or not, what it is. So but remember what I did earlier, so you can do the same thing by using swiping tools to see what is under it, or by using any. So once this is done, you can, if you have a way or you want to start editing, you can start editing, which is what I'm going to show you on a aspect of editing. But like generally, what I want you to understand is that once this is done, you can inspect it, you can turn it off like this, and then you can turn it off the way I'm turning it off now and on, and you should be able to see the difference between them. And if the layer is up to this, you can see the way the layer is now, and then you are not able to see it like, or you are not able to see what is under it, because you have this one under, that is like you have this one under it. So you can also try to make a kind of comparison to check whether is it aligning. So all these tools you have here from map, you can see the georeferencing. Like I said, if you click on save, that's going to save the map. So any other, even if you say it to somebody, the person should be able to see, what you have there. Now remember this layer, when you have it here, when you click on this particular layer and then you have this, you see it is not transparent. So the only way you can see it is by turning it off and on to make a comparison. But like I said, when you click on the raster imagery, this raster layer is going to come out. You need to go and say transparency here. You can click on this transparency and you can drag it to be able to see what is. So you see what I'm doing here. So I'm able to make a comparison between what is there. This is 0, and I can see here, drag it back, you should be able to return it to the main image. Or you swipe and click on swipe and you can drag across. So you can see how perfectly it matches with this. You can see here with the swiping, so you should be able to see how it matches perfectly. Or you can use flicker and then you can see it dimming at 50 milliseconds for you to be able to see the difference between them. Now this is done for you because you have the shapefile. But let's say you don't have the shapefile. Let's go to quickly, because like I said, I don't have much time. Let's use Rwanda. Let's also go to internet and say Rwanda. Let me use wetland. Let's say wetland map, and you find it in internet and you don't have a way of getting. So I'm going to imagery and let me just look for a random map. Okay, let me use for a random map. Okay, this will not be the best example, so let me go and say Nyabugogo. Nyabarongo River. Let me say Nyabarongo River map, Rwanda, for example. Now you can see this different river over here. These are just different places in Rwanda, and let me assume that this place does not have a particular way of locating where it is, but I am able to get this done like this, for example. Or let me just look for something else. This can be example. Let me just use for this. So I needed to digitize this river and then I don't have a way of getting it. The same thing I did, so I'm going to save it as, and this is also not a good one because it's going to save it on internet. But what I'm just saying generally is when you have this, I'm going to return here. I'm going to return home, so I'm going to stop this raster. So remember to go to raster layer, stop this swipe, stop this, so that you stop doing the way it is behaving. But in nutshell, you can see the what I swap. And what I wanted to show you is that you don't necessarily need to use also the boundary. You can also use this one as well. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, morning, sir.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
Um, I want to know we are georeferencing an image.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to know what if you finish to georeference it, then you upload it somewhere. Uh, what happened for other one who come and download it and also use it? It require him or her to georeference it again.
Yeah, it depends on the way you upload it. You know, when you're exporting, you can export as GeoTIFF and it will have a coordinate system. But like you can see here, somebody finish up with this. If you don't have information about, like you see what we bring here, it does not have a coordinate reference. So it depends on how the map is being exported. So if, like I said, the reason for this is that you have a map that you don't have a way to get the data, like this one now. If I ask you, this is a geology of Rwanda, and you don't have a way of accessing geology of Rwanda, but you see it on internet. This was something somebody put on internet. You can see here, I copied it on the internet in your presence, and then I downloaded it. And I needed to recreate this map as well with this same information that the person have here. Let me assume that this information here is visible or I see it well. I can recreate them using georeferencing. Now, it depends on how the person export it, but the most important thing I want you to know is that how do you bring in the data georeference that you fit in Rwanda. I'm coming to where you are going to recreate them. I just wanted to do the georeferencing first. So I've shown you the first method. The first method is using coordinate. The second method is using the shapefile. And a bit of the third thing I want to talk about is using the base map, is what I want to talk about. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm getting you. Or means so for those who upload it, they didn't export it in geo geocode.
Yeah, they
I,
did. They didn't test. No, it's not about exporting. If you look at this, is an imagery. Now, I explained things in the beginning. The first thing I said is that you see the reason why I used always say add a coordinate system, like add a grid coordinate. Sorry, so that the person can see where the coordinate is and use it to align it. But this one, an imagery export is just like an imagery. It does not make anything. And if you look at what I checked first when I was trying to tell you what is georeferencing, that's the first thing I did here. And I went to here and say, what is georeferencing? And I say, georeferencing is the process of adding the coordinate information to a digital imagery so that it can accurately display it on the map. That's the first thing I showed you. And then if you go down to the beginning here, you will see that this is not fitting in, but let me see if I can reset it. If you go here, you see now that this is done to align a spatial data such as a raster imagery or scan imagery. Like the map I asked you people to produce last time, you uploaded. It is not your reference. You use it in ArcGIS, but the moment you export it and send to somebody, it's not your reference again. It does not have any spatial or any coordinate system aligned to it. So you are the one using your referencing. If I ask you, give me the data, and I am not able to access the data, so what I need to do is I can use georeferencing to bring the map back and then georeference it and redigitize it to form the same, to create the same thing you created with the same data, like the same data you have, and you should be able to recreate it. So that is what I'm saying in general. So anytime you go to internet or you want to do something, maybe you're in geology or you're a geologist, or you are whatever you are, and there is a map you needed to create. And when you go to the map here and you needed to create this map to do something, or somebody say I need a geology of Rwanda, but the thing is that you don't have access to that particular file, like as this one now. If I want to create this particular map now, you see now that I don't have access to it. I don't know where how to get it, but I can see in the table of content here where I can see the name of these things. So that's where georeferencing come in, and I can go ahead to save this map as a map that I want. As you can see here, this is georeference. So I can go ahead to copy this map. So let me just type it Balaka. So you can see here, I've saved this map. I don't have information about this, and there is no way I can get this data because the person who used it is not there again. So I need to georeference it. Now, that's you see the way I downloaded this, I can recreate this map as well, and that's what I want to do now. The third method I want to show you now is using the base map. Now, before I use the shapefile, now I'm using the base map. So here, this is perfectly aligned. This is the second method. So I'm going to stop this one. I'm going to remove it. So I'm going to stop georeferencing. Remember what I said, if I want to save this, if I save this now, I can copy this file and send to you, and it will perfectly fit in Rwanda because it have a coordinate properties on it. That's why I showed you this control table where you can see the alignment, so you can see the coordinate I use, and this is how the residue and perfectly how it is. So this is the way you can georeference using a shapefile. Then I've showed you using a coordinate, and then this now I just want to show you a quick one using the base map. Now I'm going to close this, and you can see here now that I'm going to remove this. So if you see the way I close it, you see what happened? Automatically you can see the size it is. If you look critically small, I don't know where the world map is, but if you zoom close, you might see where the world map is located. Very, very small. Yeah, you can see here we are not seeing anything again, but you can see, look at where the world map is located. Look at this, it's bigger than it, so there is no way to be because it does not have a georeferencing. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to import another one, which is that one I just downloaded now. So on a quick one, I will go here to the return here. I think I save it inside map, and I'm going to go to, no, not here. I can't remember where I save it. Is in data? No. Let me go down there. So you can see the one I save as Balak here. So let me copy the directory and let me paste it here. And you can see here, this is Rwanda map. I don't know why it is not showing, but that's supposed to actually show me this particular file here. So this is Balaka. So let me click on Shift on this side, and then we have it here. Then I can drag Balaka inside it. Let me just do a drag and drop. So you can see now, it's asking me, do you want to calculate the statistic, because Balak is not geographic, it's not a shapefile. So I'll say yes. So it's going to compute, and I'm going to return back here. So you can see this is the shapefile, but it's not aligned. I needed this map. This is a geology of Rwanda. I needed it, but it's not aligning with Rwanda. So now I want to use the base map to do it. Now remember what I said, I can choose any of the base map of my choice, and the base map I want to choose now is the base map of OpenStreetMap, which is what I have added here. So I want to use OpenStreetMap base map to georeference this. So in this case, remember what I said, you come here, click on this layer is going to come here. This sorry, if you click on this imagery layer, this imagery tab is going to come. I'm going to click on georeference, and this will come up a bit. Then I will say, remember what I said earlier, that if I zoom to any place like here and I say fit it to this extent, that means I need to click here. So it's going to bring the imagery closer to me. Then Rwanda is somewhere here. So if I want to bring it closer, I can still zoom to Rwanda here and say fit to display, and that's going to return it to this part of Rwanda for me. So this is a way, first way, but what I want to do is that I want to use the base map. So because I don't want it to cover Rwanda, so I can zoom close to one side of it here and then say fit to display, so that it will bring it here. Now you see now that I have Rwanda here, I have this here. So what I need to do next is to georeference it. Now I'm going to use the base map. Now I've seen the base map of Rwanda, and I've seen the base map of the raster image of Rwanda. The same thing I did earlier. Now I was using shapefile, this one, but now I just want to use the base map. So the same thing, add a control point, click on this, any place of your choice. So I'm going to click here because this is the place I see here. You can see this point. I can also see it on the base map of OpenStreetMap, right? So I'm going to zoom to look, wait for OpenStreetMap to load. So this is OpenStreetMap, and that point I click is somewhere around here. So I'm going to look for the same point here in Rwanda base map. So let's wait for this to load. So I think the same point is somewhere here, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So if you see, it is this same point that have this stretch down here. So if it is this same point that have this stretch down here, so I'm just also going to click on it again. Now it will now realign it to that part. So you see what happened? It zoom it to that particular pattern straight. Now what else again? I'm going to click on this point here. If this is the S point here, this top here, and I want to also realign it with this top here, so I'm going to click on it here. And then what happens again? I can decide to turn off this because I'm looking for the same point on the Rwanda map. So you can see here, this is the same point here on the Rwanda map. So I'm clicking on this again to realign it with this particular point. So once I'm okay with it, then I'll click on this. What happens? It will bring it up to that point. So if you turn on this layer I name Balak, you can see it perfectly aligning well with the Rwanda shapefile. So you see here, it's bringing it to the size of Rwanda. Now, before it was bigger than it, now it is getting smaller to it. Remember what I said about you using this raster layer? If you click on this raster layer, swipe, I should be able to look at what it is. So you can see perfectly I'll georeference this and it is working in perfectly for me. Now, on a quick one, because like I said, I have limited time a bit, I'm going to remember what I said on Shapefile earlier. This is okay for me, and I can decide to go ahead and say save. So I'm going to save this one. So this is saved, and if you look here, you see now that I can see what is under it. Clicking on this, I can see what is under it. So you can see now that it perfectly matches with the shapefile. I can still use this raster layer and go to transparency here, and I can drag it across, so you should be able to see what is under it. So you can see this is perfectly matching with the shapefile of Rwanda. But wait, you can see here this is not matching perfectly here. So you can see here there is a kind of course here. So I can still go and click on the georeferencing tab, add another control point. What's the control point? Click on the control point here, and then this is the imagery and this is the file. So what I need to do, I can click on this here, imagery, and click it on the base map, and it will realign. So you can see what happens. Wait for it to load. You can see that it is now realigning perfectly to it. So this is a way you can, any place that is not matching, you can also click on it there, and that is going to realign it for you. And once that is done, that's going to perfectly get perfectly done for you. Remember that it seems like let me zoom to layer. I have zoom to layer. I have a bit messed it up because I click on that point when it was I click on it when it was, I have already saved the other one. So because of that, I am not going to save this current map. I'm just going to import the other one. So I'm going to discard because I already saved the other one in here. So you can see the one I saved. This is what it is, Rwanda. Then go to back to raster layer and change it the visibility to 0 so that you can see the rest of the map. Now this is a Rwanda shapefile. Remember what I said, that anytime you start editing, is directly means that you're editing the main layer. So I'm going to export this layer to this same place that I copied here. I want to export it because I want to use it now. Because if I edit this one, it's going to affect the parent layer, the layer inside. So I don't want to do that. So because of that, I'm going to export. So I'm going to here to type it as Rwanda. So on that Rwanda, I'm going to save it here. So this is the Rwanda shapefile. I'll click OK, and that's going to export this shapefile from, because I don't want to touch the main shapefile, because if I edit it, that's going to affect my main shapefile. So because of that, I'm going to remove this admin one, leaving Rwanda. Now in this case, I want to re-digitize this. So on a quick one, I can go ahead and then I can right click here and go to symbology. And then when I get to symbology, I want to make it this is single layer. That's when you want to go to put it up here. So I can decide to make it that I don't want it in that layer. So I want it to be in hollow. So you can see here, and then I can go to property and let me change the color to something like red that will be visible well for me, and outline I can increase it so I can see the boundary of Rwanda. Now this is what I want to do. Quick one, what you're supposed to do is I personally, some people used to start creating afresh, but sometimes since I have the shapefile and it is Rwanda, I don't want to create afresh. I used to use what I called cutting. So in that way, you can see here I've added this, and this is matching with the one, and this is like Kivu. So what I used to do personally, I used to split. So in this way, I will go to edit layer here. You see edit here, and then I can go to splitting. So you see the way I click on split. So I'll select the shapefile of Rwanda and make sure that the shapefile of Rwanda is selected like this one, so that it will know that this is what I want to split. So you can see it highlighted. Now I can start recreating this now. What this is like Kivu. Under split, I can just go ahead and start digitizing the Kivu under split. So let me remove OpenStreetMap layer so that it will not be slow in loading. So what I did is that I will go ahead and start clicking on it like this. So what I need to do is to recreate this map that I have created. I'm going to show us later on how you can convert this raster to layer, and you can re-digitize them and tag it. But you can see this is the Kivu, and once I finish, I will double click, and this is going to create a new shape for me from Rwanda. So you can see here, I can open here the attribute information here, and then open it up here, and goes to the attribute information of Rwanda, as you can see here. Now I want to use the name here, where let's say where we have Rwanda here. Now, this is the Rwanda. You see this one highlighted is now Lake Kivu. So what do I need to do? I can go here and edit and say Lake Kivu. Now, here, I have another shapefile here, which is called, looking on this layer here, you can see a yellow one here, which is South Basel. Now, I want to get this South Basel. I can still do the same thing here. What do I need to do? I will select Rwanda, and the entire Rwanda is selected. I have clicked on split tools, and I want to clip out the place I have South Basel. So you can see here, I can go here and start cutting it. Cut, and then I'll keep on cutting until I get here. I'll double click at the outside here, and that's going to cut the southern Basel. So you can see this one has been selected. Click on it to know which one are you referring to. You can see it here. What is the name? Based on this particular place, they call it Southern Basalt. So I'm going to double click on this place. I want to put the name, and I'm going to type the name here, and I will say Basalt here. So just type it the way it is. So you can see here. Now I will still go on again with the rest of other layer. So select it, and then the entire one that is selected. So what do I need to do again? I can go ahead and create more. So you can see even this small one you have here, and then you know it from the legend, you can recreate it. If I want to go on with this one, I can go ahead and start splitting from here. So you can see here the way it passed through here. So I will go ahead and then follow the line the way it is located. So this is what we call, I'm just moving it now to Shapefile. So you can go ahead, follow the way the line is. Like I just want to assume that this is how the line is. So I'm going to follow the way the line is perfectly. And then now let me assume this is what it is. I will double click here, and this is going to cut off this layer for me. So you can see this one has been actually selected. This one, what is the name in the legend? So I'll go to the legend. The name in the legend is on differential rock of lower A. So what it means is that if I go here, you can see the number here, 311. So if I click on this, I should be able to know the one that is selected. So it is main Rwanda. 11 is this one that is selected. What is the name? So I will go down to where the name is. The name here is called on differential rock of lower series A. So I will come here and type the name again. So undifferentiated rock of the lower series A. So you can see this here. So this is what I'm going to do until I digitize all of them here. So once I am done with it, I can save here. You can see here, I can click here to save. And then once I save this here, then this is not only here, because you can also add, if there is a road here, you can go ahead. So you see the way I save it here. If this is saved, do you want to save? I will say yes. Then I can clear this. So that means if I want to recreate this map, for example, I have created a layer here, which is ISO name. I can go here and go to symbology, and then I should be able to go to maybe using a unique value, and I'm going to select this field called ISO name. So I'm going to open here and go to ISO name, and then you can see this particular shapefile. This, you can see this comes here. If you switch to layer, you should be able to see that these particular things I'm now trying to recreate this. So you can see here southern belt, you can see this name on differential rock has been appeared here. So I can do the same thing and recreate the map to what it ought to be. Exactly the same thing I saw on the internet. So this now goes into shapefile, and once this goes into shapefile, I can use it to recreate. So you can see what is here. Let me turn off this, and then let me also go to symbology of this one and remove other layers. So here, right click and say remove. Now you can see here now that we have this place. Three things I just added is Lake Kivu. What is Lake Kivu? You can see the Lake Kivu here. Another thing I added is Southern Basset. You can see it here. Another thing I added is undifferential. You can see it here. Then the remaining one are Rwanda that I have not split. So what it means is that you can see the level I use in recreating this. So I can calculate the area. I can overlay it anytime I want to do it. So generally, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to recreate the same map. So if you see this now, if I go to labeling, if it is to label it, you can see now that I can label it by the name class. Sorry, I can label the name here by going in here and say ISO, name ISO. So you can see the label coming here by clicking on label, and you can see the label of those places by what it ought to be. So I can change the color. If it is the key that I want to put to this color, I can put it on red or any color of my choice, and that is perfectly going to be done for me. So this is a way you can create a georeferencing map. Number one, I showed you using coordinate. Number two, I showed you using shapefile. Number three, I showed you using Basemap. And then number 14 I did is I'm able to start showing how you can digitize. The same thing, if there is a need for you to create, a new layer, like a new layer that you need to start working on. So you can create a new layer of shapefile, and then should be able to use it to start digitizing if you want to digitize manually. But for me, I like splitting because the shape of the Rwanda is already there. So I'm going to use the edit tools, and in that edit tools, I should be able to split and then recreate the shapefile that I want and how I want it. So if this is what I just need, you see now that I've created this and I can use it the way I want. So, and this is a way to do georeferencing. Like I said, anytime you have a spatial map or any map you see, you should be able to recreate the map. Even if it is a plot of land that you have, you can use georeferencing to recreate them. And you see any map or any map that you cannot find the data, georeferencing, you can use that to recreate the same map. So this is why I'll be stopping, so you can go ahead and ask your question now.